I thought that I had everybody on my side, but I went and blew it all sky high. And now she won't even spare a passing glance. All just because I ripped my pants.
When Big Larry came round just to put him down, SpongeBob turned into a clown. And no girl ever wants to dance with a fool who went and ripped his pants. I know I shouldn't mope around, I shouldn't curse, but the pain feels so much worse. 'Cause winding up with no one is a lot less fun than a burn from the sun or selling your bones. Now I learned a lesson I won't soon forget.
Well, good morning, evening, afternoon to everyone listening, whenever you guys are listening to this next episode of Weekdays with Josh and Cole. I am your host, Josh Grismer, alongside Cole Smitty Smith. If you guys want to follow us on our social media accounts, I'm Joshua Owen, and Cole Smith is at Cole Smitty Smith with a TH at the end. Guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be talking about the golf tournament that took place over this past weekend on Sunday. I believe it was called The Match Part 2, because the original match happened last November when Tiger took on Phil by himself. Obviously, everybody kind of knows what happened over the weekend. Tiger and Peyton took home, I guess you could say, gold by winning the match by one stroke, actually, against Phil and Tom Brady, with Tom Brady kind of posting a late comeback, I guess you could say, as he was honestly just god-awful. I mean, the first 9 holes, I was like, I can compete with Tom Brady in this.
But that's what
match.
I really enjoyed about watching this,
it was
right?
Great.
You could go out there and compete with Tom Brady, Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, and Peyton Manning. Like, that was amazing.
I have genuinely never, ever, ever in my life been able to compare myself to Tom Brady in literally anything. The cars he drives, the woman he married, the 20 plus years of football in the NFL he's been playing. Nothing. I've never been able to compare myself to anything about Tom Brady until this past Sunday, when I literally could play golf better than him on those first 9 holes. So that was something that was so much fun to watch. I mean, first of all, not only they raised $20 million plus,
that was fantastic,
for a bunch of different COVID relief funds. Okay, so that it was something that each guy had their own specific COVID-related relief program that they were sponsoring and that their money was going towards. So the fact that within a span of 4 hours, they raised $20+ million, well, it was amazing to see that.
I really love that celebrities like J-Lo and A-Rod came in late, but about halfway through the match.
To talk about everything.
They talked about the whole thing, and they added their own charity donation, all exclusive pass to a J-Lo concert, meet and greet, the whole 9 yards. Well, pun intended.
Well, I think for me, the biggest thing that I saw was the interaction, not only between fans from Twitter. I mean, Twitter went crazy. It was the most watched golf event ever in the history of TV. So first of all, that's huge. But second of all, on top of that, I think it was really cool to see other people like Brooks Koepka, who's obviously an avid golfer, or people like JJ Watt, who said if Tom Brady can hit it on the green, that he'll donate $50,000. Charles Barkley said that as well, and it's fun things like that where actually after Charles said, if you can hit the green, I'll give you $50,000, not to Tom Brady but to his relief fund. And Tom Brady first of all skied the ball into the woods so deep that he would never be able to find it. So Charles Barkley claps back at him and says, I should have said, if you can keep the ball on this planet. I mean, it's things like that you get to see where Charles Barkley and Justin Thomas and all these other well-known celebrities in each of their own sports worlds chimed in this one event and kind of came together. And I think what we just saw this last Sunday is going to be starting a very new trend of, it doesn't have to be golf, but sporting events where it's like crossovers. You remember the crossover episodes and TV shows that you'd watch when you were young?
Yeah, big time. Well,
that's what's going to happen in sports.
Even nowadays, that's just the thing. Marvel and Avengers Endgame, Infinity
100%.
War, and bringing all of the comic book heroes into one massive movie. It's just real life. You're bringing all these legendary athletes.
You could call them sports superheroes.
Sports superheroes.
Yeah.
And actually, that leads me into my next thing. Josh, what would be like if we did the match 3 and let's say we expanded it to maybe a foursome instead, or not? Well, we already had a foursome. Let's say
2 groups of 4. Let's go 2 groups of 4.
2 groups of 4. 4 professional golfers, 4 celebrities. They could be movie stars, singers.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Football players, whatever you want. But what are your top 4 that you would want with your pro golfers? Like for pro golfers, for me, I guess I would want Tiger and Phil back.
They got to be in there, yeah.
And I would probably also want Rory.
I would choose Rory and probably Brooks Koepka, just because those guys are such different personalities from Tiger and Phil. True. But for me, I think I want, simply just because it's topical, but from The Last Dance, I want Michael Jordan. That guy's obviously an avid golfer.
That would be interesting.
And on top of that, with him going against, I would say, I guess Tiger and Jordan would be Phil and Steph Curry, because not only is Steph Curry a fantastic golfer, he has his own golfing brand. He has his own golfing lineup. So I think it'd be really, really cool to see that, because it's 2 athletes coming together. And on top of Steph Curry being a great golfer, he's one of the best basketball players in the world right now. So I think it'd be cool to have those 2 guys coming together. But from another standpoint, I'd want someone who is like a Will Smith, someone hilarious, someone who brings
that's going to bring out
comedy to the side of golf, because I don't know if he's good at golf or not.
I got the guy. I already know the guy. He's short. He's mighty. Kevin Hart. Would that not be perfect?
Kevin Hart and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Would that not be perfect? Beautiful. Trash talk level, the perfect just comedy level.
But then you know what I want? I guess ESPN can now air shows with cussing, but I want something that's like the Bob Menery of sportscasts, where you can say whatever you want to. If you're not familiar with who Bob Menery is a very famous Instagram voice now, where he dubs over sports plays and he says literally whatever he wants. So I want something like that where you don't have to be too censored, because I'm even when I watch this last golf matchup, you'd notice every once in a while where the sound would just go dark, and that is when somebody cussed. That's when someone said a curse word. I totally understand that. But look, if Dwayne, if he's the next contestant, if he shoots a bad shot, I want to hear everything Kevin Hart has to say about that.
I think The Last Dance kind of helped show people that a little bit of cursing and showing a little bit of what these players actually are, because let's face it, we're not all perfect Catholic boys at church that don't cuss, and we don't all have swear jars at home. It's just not real life. No, exactly, Josh. We don't all. No. It's the way of life nowadays, and I think that's just the future of it. And I think that's programs like that will become with, I guess, ratings eventually, because of course you can't have 5-year-olds listening to Michael Jordan drop F-bombs. But
I think a lot of 5-year-olds did listen to that, by the way. But I also think what a wise man once said to me, I will never trust someone who doesn't cuss at themselves or curse at themselves after a bad golf shot. And I agree with that. Yeah. After a bad golf shot, you can say any word in the book because you're mad at yourself. You're angry with what happened. You take your 5 perfect practice swings, and then you go and hit the ball and it goes 4 right or 4 left. I mean, I think
even Tom Brady sliced a golf shot, and you could
several times
clearly see his voice just.
I'm not a professional lip reader, but what he said is
he
very,
dropped
very,
a couple
very
F-bombs.
easy to read.
He dropped so many.
So I think just from my standpoint, and as a fan of golf and a fan of sports worldwide, honestly, it would be very cool to see this match. I'm not talking, I mean, twice a year, maybe even once a year. I don't want this thing to be played out. But to see things like that and to see how interactive it was. That's what I love. I love the social media side, because not only did they call up JJ Watt, first of all, which was awesome, but he was tweeting beforehand. So know he's watching it, and you're like kind of getting an inside look to these celebrities' lives, where you're like, they're just like us, and they're watching this huge matchup with us.
Well, they got nothing to do, too. Nothing. I mean, they're just sitting around. JJ Watt can train and do all that, but he's still going to sit around for a couple hours to watch a game.
And you can guarantee it that he probably had a couple brewskis like we all were, and threw him back and just sat for 4 hours to watch between NASCAR and golf, which was the coolest thing. Like, when golf went to commercial, I flipped over to NASCAR. When NASCAR went to commercial, I flipped back to golf, and it was 4 hours of where I did not leave the couch.
I know, it was amazing.
It was amazing. I forgot what that felt like. I forgot what like a football Sunday felt like, and I didn't leave the couch. It was and another thing that I want to talk about that I loved is Tiger wearing red again on Sunday.
Oh yeah,
I have missed that so much, and I think it's awesome that Peyton Manning even said, he was like, do I try to match Tiger? And he goes, I couldn't bring myself, well, first of all, to wear Georgia colors, because he's a Tennessee boy, so he could not wear the Georgia Bulldogs colors. But on top of that, he's like, I'm not Tiger Woods. I don't really deserve, in quotations, to wear red on Sunday.
Well, and I think that's
sportsmanship.
That's a mutual respect of each other's sports, right? Like you wouldn't expect Tiger Woods to come into a football arena and ask, hey, can I get an 18 jersey, blah, blah, blah. No, that's Peyton Manning's number.
Yes.
No, it's mutual respect. Peyton Manning isn't going to come into Tiger Woods' house
just wearing
stomping
red
all over his gear.
And it literally
just
was his house.
him.
That's his home course.
Exactly.
That's Tiger's home course.
So there's just that mutual respect between legends, I think, right there. Just like I think Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady had. And
totally.
Also, I really loved the personal putting lessons from Tiger Woods.
Yes.
To not only Peyton Manning, but you could hear him give pointers to people. He wouldn't obviously go walk around and help line up Brady or anybody like that. But with Peyton Manning, you got little personal putting lessons. And if you were a viewer paying a little close attention, you picked up a little snippets from Tiger Woods and
totally.
The
it was a 4-hour
champion.
free golfing lesson.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
And I think, let me ask you this. So going off of what they were mic'd up for 4 full hours, and I understand some of their audio went out. It was pouring rain, so I get that. I truly, truly, truly think players in all sports should be mic'd up now. I do.
Oh, yeah.
They tried it in baseball. They tried it in baseball during spring training, and that was amazing. That was amazing to see. The Cubs player's name is escaping me, but he was talking when he was playing the Astros, and he goes, "I don't know what pitch is coming. Can someone bang on a trash can?" I need that stuff in my life. It was, I think, Kyle Schwarber.
Well,
I need that stuff in my life.
But that's what the All-Star game brings to us, right?
Totally.
And
I want that every day.
Well, but that is coming. I really do think that's coming. And especially if there are no fans in stadiums, which I really hope we are allowed to go to football games. Josh, I know we have a couple trips planned to see the Broncos and Jaguars on the road, see Tom Brady maybe in Vegas.
Yep.
And even if you aren't going to have fans there, it would still be really nice to get some kind of atmosphere.
Yes.
Because there is a game within the game, and we might not be able to see the fans and the rowdiness and all that.
Yeah.
But we would be able to get a closer look into the intensity of what's actually on the field.
Totally.
And I would really like to, obviously can't hear coaches calling plays or things like that. But I would love to hear coaches yelling audibles as the play's going on, or coaches yelling at their safeties, get deep, he's throwing the ball, or something like that.
It doesn't even have to be interview style. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be interview style. But think about this. Like, I'm not even asking for the stars to be mic'd up. Like, I don't want Nathan McKinnon to come off the bench where he has 30 seconds to rest and he's just winded and gassed from being on the ice for 2 minutes. I don't want that. Let's put a mic on the backup goalie who is just sitting there and get his perspective. Or think about how funny this would be. Get a picture from the bullpen. Do you know how funny pitchers are in the bullpen when they're not doing anything for 4 to 6 hours?
Well, see, that's interesting because that's what NASCAR essentially does. They have a in-race reporter. And now it's usually Clint Boyer, Kevin Harvick, somebody that has been in the booth before and has had that experience. But there are athletes that want to become broadcasters in their future. There's athletes that, just like us, that want to talk sports for the rest of their lives. They want to be around sports for the rest of their lives. I get them more involved within the game and get them more involved analyzing the game, because then you can find guys like your Tony Romos.
Yeah.
And you get
diamonds in the rough.
And wouldn't that be amazing? Like, and to all the old guys listening to us on the podcast, wouldn't it have been great to hear Gary Kubiak commentary on John Elway as he was going down to win the Super Bowl?
Totally.
I would have loved to hear something like that, because Gary Kubiak's mind, would be phenomenal. You'd be getting insight from a future coach,
one of the
a future Super Bowl winning coach.
Yeah.
And it would be so amazing to see that. And just to get the insight that you would see now, not even just from Coach Fangio or anything like that.
Yeah.
I agree. Let's go with backup guys. If somebody's on the sidelines, let's say Jerry Jeudy, a rookie, somebody that doesn't really know what's even going on the field. Let's get that perspective. Let's get guys like offensive linemen that are practice squad guys. Let's get them on the sideline. Let's just tell them, hey, if you're going to pay attention to the game, help us commentate and talk about all of this.
Well, and the biggest thing for me, I think, seeing these new interview ideas, I guess, that we're kind of trying out between sports and players, I just want to get an insight on what these guys are like. I mean, we see JJ Watt or these Von Millers or all these guys. Von Miller he's a huge character. He's funny. He's tenacious. He's mean on the field. I think he's so, like, I want to see more of that. I don't want to see just a sack dance anymore or anything like that. I want to hear what he has to say. I mean, you think about all these mic'd up. I think of a couple years ago, Maurice Jones-Drew or somebody chip blocked J.J. Watt and kind of threw him off. But J.J. Watt gets up and he goes, "I've eaten burritos bigger than you." That's hilarious to hear things like that.
Well, and Nikki Jobvala, go check her out on Twitter, amazing Broncos reporter. She posted on Twitter, Drew Lock commented on him and Joe Flacco's relationship, especially before his first game stepping out onto the field. And Drew Lock said that Joe was great to him and that he even told him that to just be him and that they would win the football game. And that confidence right there is what helped him win 4 out of 5 football games the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And we could have got that from Joe Flacco on the sidelines from just sitting there. And instead of maybe getting a boring, plain Joe Flacco that we all saw and we all were thinking, man, why are you here? Maybe we could have gotten a bit more active Joe Flacco. Maybe somebody that was a bit more interested into what was going on, just because he wouldn't have to be dwelling on the fact that Drew Lock was out there and he wouldn't really have to be doing anything for the whole game. And of course, when he does have to go in the game, the interview stop, blah, 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 blah. It's not like it's that hard. It's just like in NASCAR, they don't talk to the drivers the last 10 laps.
No.
It's when they're on caution laps. It's when they're doing nothing. It's when there's just literally nothing else to do.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me is you're kind of looking at these things where you don't have to. And I go back to what I was saying. You don't have to interview the stars when it's crunch time. I don't want to see that. I want the star players to obviously be invested enough in the game where they're not wanting to be interviewed. Totally on board with that. But there are so many more characters in the game, and it could even be an assistant coach. I don't care who it is.
Well, that would be
I think
even
it'd be
better.
cool to expand to maybe even an equipment manager and what they have to do. There's so much that goes into an actual game.
Hey, if we're going to go that deep, let's go ahead and just get the Gatorade kids.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, look, there's a mic'd up from Peyton in his Indianapolis days where there are Gatorade kids and he's asking them how they made them. He's like, "You put too much orange in this? What'd you like?" That's what I want to see. I'm not saying interview a 6-year-old all the time, but I'm saying there are so many ideas that you can do.
No, and I get that.
That you can, there's so much more you can expand upon other than just having analysts talk about the game. We got to hit a quick break. You guys are listening to Weekdays with Josh and Cole.
Here he comes. Winston Cup win, number 1 in the Coca-Cola 600 for Wisconsin's Matt Kenseth.
A rookie has done it, but it was a dark horse from Cambridge, Wisconsin. This Badger just kept digging. Matt Kenseth, 28 years of age, has done it.
Welcome back, everybody. Weekdays with Josh and Cole. I, again, am your host, Josh, alongside Cole Smith. Cole, we talked a little bit during this break. There is like a crazy long streak that unfortunately is about to come to an end.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this. You have it all written down and everything, so I'm going to hand the mic over to you. But it's an absurdly random long streak that is really kind of cool.
It's not the Browns' lack of Super Bowls. So that's gonna keep going long time. I'm sorry, but Shaq's final streak. I don't know if anybody's ever really heard of this, and I never heard of this until I went on ESPN's Instagram account. The Shaq final streak. There have been 36 straight NBA finals with at least one player who played with Shaq during his career.
Is it with or against Shaq or both?
With
Shaq. Wow. That's incredible.
The last time it didn't happen was 1984.
1984. So, I mean, that was 11 years before I was even born, first of all, which is insane. I think, and that also helps that Shaq played for such a long time as well, which is unbelievable. But that just shows I don't even know how to put it. Like how insane his actual career was.
That's a whole new level of legendary status. Like you got Kobe Bryant status, you got Michael Jordan status, but
puts him in a league of his own, to be honest.
To be honest, it 100% does, because that is 30 plus years. 36 years?
36 years.
36 years.
I'm not good at math. I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it's 36 years.
We talk sports for a reason, folks. 36 years of influence over the game. And that's not even including his time as an analyst on NBA on TNT.
Which he is
or
phenomenal
any of that.
At, by the way. That's another guy I would add to my golf list. That's another guy.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to go golfing with Shaq, by the way. Could you imagine Shaq and Chuck on the course?
I think I genuinely think his clubs would be as tall as I mean, he's 7'3".
He's got to have custom clubs, right?
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, I think because like Zdeno Chara, he's 6'9" on his skates, and his hockey stick is taller than I am.
Really?
Yeah, his hockey stick. I think his hockey stick is like 6'1".
What?
That's unbelievable.
Too tall Jones.
No,
right
it's
there.
unbelievable.
That's incredible.
What I want to talk about. Oh, did you have something else to add?
No, I was just I just can't get over how incredible that is. Like the amount, like no other player will have that kind of influence for years to come.
It's one of those things like a Cal Ripken Jr. streak. Like no one's ever going to beat his healthy streak. Like how many games he played consecutively. I think it's altogether it's 2,000 plus games, but altogether I think they said that's not missing a game for 16 seasons.
That's incredible.
So it's just one of those streaks that will never be broken again because maybe LeBron James will have a chance at that. Maybe because he already went to 8 straight by himself. So the players that he's played with, I mean, it's not going to be with the Cavaliers. I can promise you that. They're not going to be going to finals anytime soon.
But like, does LeBron James even have aspirations to be an analyst? Does he have aspirations to really be that mentor to the next generation? Because let's face it, people around the NBA, especially rookies, call Shaq Uncle Shaq.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's a massive mentor around the NBA.
Footprint.
So
no pun intended is huge. Like
I know, and that's not to knock LeBron James, especially what he's done with Akron and his school, and that's amazing. It's truly 100%. Incredible, and I think every school should follow that.
He's influencing in a different way than Shaq.
Exactly, and it's just that pure NBA and sports influence that I think is absolutely incredible.
Literally nothing wrong with that at all. No. I think it's amazing. I want to talk about real quickly the 2020 ALSCO Uniforms 500, which is a NASCAR event that is supposed to be held today. It actually already has been pushed back due to inclement weather. So we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. But Cole, give me like 2 or 3 things that we should expect from this race if it happens tonight.
Man, fast and hard racing. And the really cool, this is the race to bet on too, by the way, folks. So if you are getting into this Denver sports betting, Colorado sports betting,
DraftKings,
FanDuel, it's all really incredible. I've been practicing with FanDuel a little bit. I love the app.
Practicing meaning losing money?
Yes. We don't got to bring that up, Josh.
I'm just saying. I've lost money too. Don't worry about it. But I think so. Yeah, just give me a couple things that stand out to you.
But I really like this because the way NASCAR has been doing these back-to-back races, the first Charlotte race was essentially just practice. For a lot of these guys, this is the real race that everybody needs to pay attention to. And there's going to be so many drivers that are going to be on the hot seat and that are dark horses that you need to watch. 2 of them being Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth is a great driver. The dude can drive the hell out of a car. He drives rubber off the wheels. And he also inherited an amazing car from Kyle Larson.
So who, by the way, a car?
He inherited
for newbies again.
Well, if we all remember, Kyle Larson unfortunately made a very bad verbal mistake playing video games, and NASCAR unfortunately kicked him out.
So can you just strip him from all that stuff?
Yeah, no, he was stripped. His team dropped him. He lost all of his sponsors. NASCAR said you're not allowed to race, and I imagine they'll have to go through a whole process if he does want to get back into Cup Series. Yeah. But you inherit a car because Matt Kenseth was the only driver available to even drive. And Chip Ganassi Racing just needed somebody.
Okay. Yeah.
So bing, bang, boom, you're driving a 42.
Wow.
So there you go. Matt Kenseth got a really decent car. He's a really decent driver. And he loves Charlotte Motor Speedway. And you got to give me a minute to pull up my stuff here. But Matt Kenseth, 12 top 5s and 2 wins at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Oh, wow.
Joey Logano has had 4 top 10s in the last 10 races there. And other drivers to even keep an eye on are Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, who finished second, but unfortunately on paper is 40th because he didn't pass post-race inspection. His car was too light.
What does that mean? So is he cheating? I mean, what?
No, it's not. Well,
yes, kind of. I mean, let's be honest here.
I don't want to call it cheating, but NASCAR is very stingy that they're stock cars. Every car is the same. It's more strategy than it is a faster car. It's not like Formula One where you can just buy a better motor than everybody else. In NASCAR, you have to weigh your cars before the race. You have to weigh them after, and they go through full body inspections before and after.
Wow.
And if one little thing is off, NASCAR flags you, you're back at the end of the race. And especially at the end of the race, if something as big as like your car being lighter, because every pound is 5 miles an hour faster for a car.
Wow. So, I mean, what is it just like his tank was empty, or do they make sure his tank is full? Like, how are you
because there
weighing
is
these
a
cars?
margin of error, of course. It's not
Yeah,
like
I mean, it's not going to be to the ounces.
Like, oh, you're 0.01 pounds off.
Yeah, okay.
That's crap.
Yeah.
It's over, man. But it's one of those things, I believe it's like a 3-4% margin of error.
Okay.
And if it's just over that threshold, it's kind of one of those things, I'm sorry, you got to go push.
So they literally just put him in the back of the pack.
Yeah. So on paper, Jimmy Johnson finished 40th, but I don't want that to fool people. The dude finished second in the race.
So I want to ask you this real quickly, though. If you are in the last, let's say the last 5 spots, starting spots at an event, okay? If you're pushed back to the last 5 spots, what are your chances of actually winning the race? Because I've really
extremely
only
high.
See, that's odd to me, and I want to preface this by saying again, I am a new NASCAR fan. This is something that I've watched intently this season alone. So when I say that, the guys that have won the races have started in the top 10, I believe, every single time. So what if you're in the back of the pack? Are you like, I'm screwed? Or are you like, it's going to take a little bit, but I can climb?
I also want to point this out to you. A lot of the drivers that have finished in the top 10, yes, that's where they started. But I also want to point out we have yet to see a pole winner in the race.
That's true. Yeah. You're okay.
So
Yep.
It's NASCAR.
I stand partially corrected.
NASCAR is a really funny sport in that it's anybody's game, and you are on the edge of your seat, biting your nails, because every caution could mean your driver gets thrown out and is now at the back of the pack, and it's up to some new guy to do something with that. Now, of course, you get guys like Kyle Busch that if they drop 4 or 5 spots, they're going to get those positions back, and it's not going to be very hard for them to race up front.
Okay.
What you got to look for are those train wrecks and those really big accidents that take out literally half the field. And then you got guys like William Byron, Matt DiBenedetto, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, all these rookie drivers that probably have no business being up front except for Chase.
Yeah.
They now all of a sudden have a chance to win. And it's almost kind of like horse racing. Now, horse racing, you can obviously look at the horse's physique. You can look at how they were trained. You can look at previous races, how fast they were, blah, 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 blah. But with NASCAR, it's the same car every week. Every car is adjusted to every track and adjusted their own personal way to each driver. But no matter what, it's not like that car got an extra boost in its engine that week. It's not like they're switching tires to a different manufacturer. It's all Goodyear. It's all their racing team's engines. It's all their racing team's parts. So it's kind of one of those things. It's anybody's game, really, at the beginning of the race. It's just a matter of the skill and the speed that you have, and also the fact that you have to keep that speed up.
Yeah,
a lot of the times, rookie drivers that get up in these fantastic caution situations, and now all of a sudden they're leading the race, they don't realize they got to stay there.
Yeah, they don't know how to keep that.
Well, and that's just it. And there's strategy involved with that. And obviously, there's times you're just trying to get points because you do want to get a better car. Because let's face it, there are lesser teams compared to bigger teams.
Yeah,
Stewart-Haas is a much bigger team than the team Matt DiBenedetto races for, and I can't even think of them right now. It's Something Brothers Racing.
That shows the difference, though, right then and there. You can think of one right off the top of your head.
It's just, there is differences and like that, and of course that's going to play a factor, but you can't give any driver a true favoritism. And now when I looked at picking drivers, to give some insight to people, if you're wanting to pick your own drivers, look at who's finished in the top 5 or the top 10 the most at that track. And you want to go for average finish. Not everybody finishes first. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's really rare to get more than one win at any track.
Okay. So I mean, for me, I guess what I've been looking at, and it stood out to me a lot because I have not done that yet. I've been looking at like top 5 or 10 finishes just in general. I've not been looking at top 5 finishes. You got to
look at it per track.
Okay.
You can't look in general
because it is different. It's does any team have, or any specific racer have, like a home field advantage? Because now I'm just trying to apply this to all different sports. When the Broncos play at home, they have home field advantage. When the Jaguars play at home. So is there like, and I know you've said this, like some drivers prefer different tracks, but is there one where like a Kyle Busch is like, I'm probably going to win this?
Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch grew up in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Their home track is Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Yes.
They always do great. They're always 1 and 2.
It's their bread and butter.
It's bread and butter. Kevin Harvick, he grew up on the West Coast in California. His main tracks are, I can't even.
No, you're not. Right, putting you on the spot.
Watkins Glen and Phoenix. Those are really his big tracks. Those West Coast area tracks. Now, the big thing with NASCAR going to Darlington, that's the home for all of these race teams.
Yes.
So essentially, that is a home field advantage for basically all of NASCAR.
Yeah. Okay.
The real home field advantage is where those drivers grew up as kids. There's no true home field advantage once you get into NASCAR. And unfortunately, there once was with a racing team in Colorado. One day there will be a racing team in Colorado again.
It's growing, man.
But
it's growing in Colorado.
It's not going to happen, though, until Colorado gets a big enough racing speedway to host Cup cars.
And no, for people asking, because they're going to be asking this if they're a rookie fan like me, Bandimere is a completely different type of speedway. We got to talk about that because Bandimere is huge.
And there's multiple
in the drag racing world. Bandimere Speedway is massive. Yes. So let's understand that. But drag racing compared to NASCAR, compared to
but you also have Colorado National Speedway. For anybody that's really interested in going to see oval racing, go up to Colorado National near Greeley.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've been there, actually.
It's an amazing track. It's beautiful. I love it up there. The problem is the track can only host trucks, and it rarely hosts Xfinity cars. Rarely.
Okay, so
rarely.
Why though? What? I understand the difference.
The track isn't big enough to host that kind of press outlet and to host that many cars, because we're talking about a field of 30, 40 cars. And you've been up there. The track isn't very big. We're talking about a track that people do figure 8 races on.
Yeah.
So it's something that until Colorado gets a super speedway track, and I'm talking something as big as Daytona, like massive track. And it can't be Bristol, can't be a small track like Darlington. It's got to be massive. We're talking 2-mile track, and that's the only way you'll get a Cup team back in Colorado because of the home field advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I
but
think
home field advantage it just doesn't exist in NASCAR when you get into Cup Series. Long story short.
Well, and again, I mean, home field advantage in NASCAR, to be honest, other than the way that the drivers feel the road or are familiar with the road, crowd noise obviously doesn't. This is probably the only sport where crowd noise plays no effect.
Well, and
no one can hear anything over the cars.
That was the beautiful thing of NASCAR starting up with all of this. The fans
crowd noise literally does not make a difference.
No, it's nice to celebrate with your fans poster and pre-race.
Yeah,
but during the race, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, guys. So check out the 2020 ALSCO Uniforms 500. That should be tonight. I believe it's a 5 p.m. start.
We're keeping an eye on the weather. It's a 5 p.m. start. Drivers are they're uncovering cars. They've uncovered trailers. So
they're doing their pre-game rituals, all that stuff, everything like that. It's not when they started back up. I don't believe it's still the 10 minutes before, correct? Is that still coming into play? Or
man, I'm not sure for this race, to be honest. And actually, if you want keep updates, go to Twitter and check out at Bob Pockris, and go check out me at Colson Mini Smith. Go check out Josh at I'm Joshua Owen.
Not because I have good insight, but because I retweet everything he says.
And I retweet everything Bob Pockris does.
That's the main thing.
That's the biggest thing. So
Twitter chain.
Go to one of those. You'll get updates through the whole NASCAR world and things like that. And again, drivers, keep an eye out for those dark horse drivers like Logano, Hamlin, Kenseth.
That's what you want to see. I mean, I like seeing the big names win, but I also like seeing maybe a driver get his first win because of how important and how cool of a moment that is for them.
And you also have to remember, drivers that have already gotten a win in the race aren't racing near as hard as guys that still need a win.
Yeah,
you got that totally plays a massive factor in all of this.
Huge factor, guys. So that's going to do it for us today. We covered pretty much everything from golf to NASCAR, all the events that have gone on thus far. Catch us again next week, guys. We're going to start doing a lot more videography stuff now. So we're going to try to get a face with our names, or a face with our voices, I guess you could say. We're going to be doing some golfing this weekend or next weekend as well. We're going to do kind of our own tournament, I guess you could say, kind of our own matchup thing where it's going to be us and a couple other guys that are on the weekday shows here at Altitude, and it's going to be exciting. I'm actually really looking forward to this.
Stay tuned to our social medias. Go to our YouTube channel. Weekdays with Josh and Cole. Just look it up. It's up.
We're going to be popping off. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's enjoy this.
We're going to start really making our socials go crazy. So keep an eye out for that, guys. Again, you're listening to Weekdays with Josh and Cole, and we'll see you real soon.